Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I almost burned my bacon just now. I was about to do this video, and I was literally about to hit the record button when I realized that my bacon had been in the oven and I forgot all about it. So I ran and I saved the bacon. So it was just almost about to get too burned, but it's okay. I like it crunchy anyway. I'm sure many of you have almost burned your bacon before too. But anyway, I'll start with this. This is from MBK Crypto, at MBKLYRAD. Sent this to me. I think this article is a little misleading in the title because it leads you to believe that this is something new. 1 billion XRP added to crypto market as Ripple increases circulating supply. Well, my understanding is that the way Ripple's escrow works, this is done every single month. But the way that title reads is as if this is something new. This is the way things work every month. They go on to talk about how crypto coin market cap does not consider Ripple's XRP holdings to be a part of the circulating supply, and so they don't show any of the holdings of Ripple, the company, in the circulating supply. My problem with that has always been that my question for coin market cap is, then why do you calculate Satoshi Nakamoto's into the circulating supply for Bitcoin? That's the question I have. My understanding is that Satoshi Nakamoto has around 1 million plus Bitcoin, and it's included in this circulating supply number. Meanwhile, they don't think it would be good to include the circulating supply when you have Ripple, a company who's being very transparent about how they're doing the escrow and everything. Meanwhile, you have Satoshi Nakamoto, who they don't even know who he is, but it's completely legit to include that in the circulating supply. Now that seems pretty shady to me from CoinMarketCap's standpoint, to look at things like that, look at things through that kind of prism. Next, from this is Crypto Whale Watchers are tracking Ripple's movements of XRP. In the last week, Ripple transferred a total of 107 million. Now they broke this down. Most of this is XRP being sold over the counter. This was 28 million XRP worth 9.4 million transferred to the Ripple XRP2 wallet. 30 million XRP, $10.1 million transferred from Ripple to an unknown wallet, and then $3.3 million worth transferred from Ripple to Ripple OTC distribution wallet. So you can see there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes. Okay, moving along. This was just an interesting video you should go and watch. I haven't seen too many videos where it's just Stefan Thomas being interviewed, but he's a really, really smart guy. He's a coder, and he speaks a language that I don't even understand, but I like to watch videos from a lot of these people who are really technically savvy in all of this digital asset space and blockchain, and understand all the technical behind the scenes, the inner workings of everything. It's good to watch these videos and to learn more from these people. But this is he's the founder of Coil, and he talks about why he left the Bitcoin core team for Coil XRP micropayments. And the video you can find it's on YouTube, but it's also, if you go, I don't want to do that. I'm going to X that out. But anyway, just go to his Twitter feed and you'll be able to find that. Next, this is from Hodor. He did a blog this morning, and it is packed. It's called Deep Roots, the Crypto Spring Will Reveal Progress. Now, this is, for those of you that don't know, Hodor and many XRP bloggers, they put their work on a site called xrpcommunity.blog. And there's a lot of different blogs on there on different topics. Hodor's probably my favorite one but there are some others that are gaining traction as well. Well, he did a really good blog today, and it covers all sorts of different things, many of which I've done videos on in the last few weeks or so. But usually I just kind of like to go to his summary. I like to read his summary and let you go read the blog for yourself, because it's packed with so much information. I couldn't possibly go through it. This is one of the things we've talked about, where Chris Larson from Ripple was over meeting with the finance minister from Luxembourg in Europe. And because I remember that picture, I think I even used that picture as a thumbnail. He talks briefly about the meetup in the Netherlands that happened this weekend. And then, and I'll show you this in a second, talks about some of the things Wietse is working on. And then at the very end, I wanted to just show you what he says in his summary. The acorn is now a tree. Each branch of the XRP tree is now budding with the promise of future utility. Micropayments is starting to blossom. Coil, while still in its preview mode, has been working on interledger changes, scaling technology in combination with other companies like Kava. And Stefan Thomas indicated that his company has already processed 5.9 billion payments. XRapid, while encountering obstacles in the U.S. due to unclear regulations, has achieved traction in selected Asian and American corridors, and the volumes are now clearly detectable by those XRP fans looking to measure progress. The global liquidity of XRP is at an all-time high, with increased daily trade volumes across 230 exchanges. Folks, just to put that in perspective, in our last bear market, I think there was 150 or so of these exchanges that we did not have during that last bull run. And that means something. Then he says large and small businesses are now building on XRP with innovative approaches, designs, and applications, whether it's sharing economy apps or any business that wishes to accept XRP as payment. Everyday users are now able to spend their XRP for ordinary needs and fun activities like social tipping. 2019 has revealed only the beginnings of what will become fantastic levels of utility-driven demand for the one digital asset with the fastest settlement times, highest on-chain scalability, uncompromising decentralization, and the widest array of robust business-ready features such as decentralized exchange and crypto condition suite. Its roots are deep and strong, and they will energize XRP's vast growth upward and outward at astounding speeds. Exactly. Now, he referred to this blog, in his blog, about if you really want to get a good summary of what happened at the XRP community meetup. I'm going to see if I can say this right. Amersfoort, Netherlands, part 1. But this is from I thought it was from Ferdy, but XRP Twin, and it's the XRP community meetup. But she goes, I can't remember if it's a he or a she, but they go through all of their travels, and then pictures and all the different things that went on. They all got QR codes so that they could tip each other, I guess. They have pictures. I think they said there was around 150 people. BitHum CEO also came, and then they've got pictures of Wietse. I remember that picture. He posted a picture when he had a baby, and somebody made a painting out of it, I guess. That's cool. And then as you go along, they had all kinds of interesting things. Here's a picture. People had given away shirts. This is Tiffany Hayden, and I'm not sure what this guy's name is. I'll try to find out. They had a photo booth there. And then these are the guys, I think these are the two guys that work as developers with Wietse. And do they say their names? I always draw a blank on their names. And then this is, I believe this is Paying for Beer with XRP. Really cool, really good summaries. I think that some different YouTubers streamed different parts of this. And then let's see what else. Then at the end of the night, they're having beers, having a few beers, some of the really smart people. And then they talked about how the bear showed up late in the night. I'm assuming they had been drinking for a while and somebody pulled out the bear. But anyway, they've got a bunch of really good pictures. There's people all over Twitter that have put this up. If you want to go check out this blog, It's called XRP Community Meetup, Amersfoort, Netherlands, Part 1, and that's on the it's xrpcommunity.blog. Next, from Xmin XRP, at XRP33, he sent me this. Now this is about JPMorgan. JPMorgan, now remember, I like to say JPMorgan and Jamie Dimon, who said that all this cryptocurrency stuff was a fraud, who are now more into cryptocurrency than just about any company having to do with blockchain. JPMorgan expanding blockchain project with 220 banks to include payments. So now they're trying to get it. It says investment banking giant JPMorgan Chase is planning to expand its existing blockchain project to include settlement features as it seeks to fend off competition from payments upstarts such as TransferWise and Ripple. And so Ripple is who they are. I don't even think they're trying to compete with Ripple anyway. I think that JPMorgan knows that they will never be able to go in and do what Ripple's doing in many other countries where they're trying to get the business of banks who are their competition. I don't think those banks are going to trust JPMorgan. And that's the problem with a bank issued. Well, it's two problems. From an investment perspective, they have to have a stable coin for liability purposes. And so having a stable coin, it's not like you're going to tell your friends, hey, JPMorgan's got this stable coin. It has these great 0% returns because it's tied to the US dollar. That's not how this works, folks. Nobody's going to, as an investment, nobody's heading for JPMorgan coin as a stable coin. And next, this is from AMB Crypto. Now, I saw this tweet yesterday and thought how stupid. And let me, before I get deep into this article, I want to make a point here. Part of being in crypto right now, it won't be that way as things mature a lot. But the initial people that came into crypto was a lot of young people and a lot of millennials, a lot of people who have not, and this is no knock on them. It's a good thing that millennials were first to this party. That's why a lot of you, a lot of young people out there are going to do really well in this because they were so early. And that's a good thing starting out. It's tough to fight your way into being financially free, and it's a good thing if many of them saw this early. But what you have along with that is you have a lot of people. There's a lot of people who are very naive and don't understand how things work and how investing works and how people invest and the dynamics of investing at different ages. You have to look at things differently depending on your age in the way that you invest. And that's what, when I was a financial advisor, that's what you're taught. I mean, and I've talked about this a lot on this channel, but this really illustrates the point of this. David Schwartz is he was one of the founders of Ripple. And so, of course, he's probably done really well, and he probably had a lot of good XRP holdings from the start. But that does not mean that David Schwartz is going to put all of his investing and keep it in XRP, because David Schwartz, I don't know how old he is, but he's got to be in his late 40s to maybe 50 something. When you're in that age bracket, you don't have all of your investing in crypto or anything else that's not how you would invest at that age. But anyway, this article is about some guy who must be young and naive, who tweeted out and basically said, warning to all XRP holders. This is from this guy with this handle. Ripple CTO Joel Katz recently selling his XRP stack is the biggest warning sign one could ever get. This is the most bearish sign for XRP I've ever witnessed since the beginning of 17. Well, David Schwartz comes in and answers the guy. He says, I hold some XRP that I bought on the open market over 5 years, as well as other similar assets. When I first chose to put money in, I agreed on a de-risking strategy with my wife should we ever have too much at risk, which I've been following with some sadness. In other words, the guy, he's got a family, he's married, he has to invest in a very responsible way. That does not mean that a portion of your portfolio shouldn't be in risky things like XRP and digital assets. Everyone, in my opinion, should have a percentage of their investments in crypto, but nobody has ever told anyone to, oh, you should, because we believe in this, you should put everything you have in digital assets, and specifically XRP. You would be a fool to do that. And David Schwartz would be a fool to do that. And the idea that this guy thinks that this is some horrible thing for XRP, that David Schwartz would be selling some of it. We don't know what David Schwartz's situation. David Schwartz could have a kid going off to college for all we know and need to cash out a little XRP to put his kid through college. I mean, isn't that what this is all about? Is returns that are. I mean, we've seen XRP has seen returns that most people never see in an investment, and you can imagine what his returns already are. So there's no telling some of the things. Who knows what happens in people's lives? Things that come up where you could need money or access to money that you didn't want to sell out of. But also, he's got to be at his age, you've got to really be diversified. At his age, he may be starting to think about winding things down. Who knows? I don't think so. But if you were, you would shift some of your investing into income producing things. You might go and buy a rental property to produce you income as you get later. David Schwartz could be tired for all we know. Nobody knows. You don't know his situation, but what you do know is that if he's a smart man, he's not going to have 100% of his investment in XRP or anything else. But I've shown you this. I showed you this last week. Look at all of the different assets. These are all just some of the different asset classes that people spread their wealth around in. And they spread their portfolio across these things, because what will be, and what this illustrates, is that what will be a winning asset class this year will not be a winning asset class next year. And so that's for that reason you have to diversify. This shows annually, this shows best and worst for different asset classes and how they've performed in different things. Now, what I've told you all along is digital assets are about to be plugged into charts like this, and it will become one of the asset classes. In my opinion, it'll become the largest asset class. You may see a bigger allocation than I've even seen, than I've even said. But what I'm telling you now is that between 0.5 and 2% of portfolios moving forward will be allocated to digital assets. And that goes for David Schwartz too. He's not going to want to put much more than that. He may, since he's in the business, he may have 5 or 10% or 20 even, because he's in that business. But technology, by design, is the riskier of a lot of assets. That's why they call it a growth. It's either a growth or a flop industry. Okay. Finally, I want to show you this from Sergeant Obi-Wan. Microsoft Korea. Country faces growing threat of stealth crypto mining attacks. What they're talking about here is where people try to hack into companies or hack into computers and then turn and use those computers to mine for crypto. And it's apparently becoming a big problem in Korea. It'll become a big problem anywhere where crypto becomes very popular. More proof of work problems. And then finally from Ian Northing at LANBINS, I thought this tweet was very interesting. Folks, we live in interesting times from the perspective of the world's getting very scary as far as what's going on out there in the investing world. And a lot of I've said this many times, we've spent the last 10 years in a bull market that has been pumped up by the central banks around the world, the money printing and all the bailouts and keeping interest rates at ridiculously low levels. And this right here is one of those flashing signs that people could be getting very scared. She says, this is one of the biggest one-day ETF flows I've ever seen. A $1.5 billion inflow to BlackRock's 20-plus year Treasury ETF. When people start going into Treasury bonds, people are getting scared, folks. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that money is flowing into treasuries right now. Big time. Thanks for listening.